We would all intend to be a vessel of grace in this world. But oftentimes, when we're inside of a human body, we feel anything but. We may feel anger, we may feel shame or guilt or grief or sadness or jealousy, a whole spectrum of what we can think of as fear-based emotions. And there are really only two types of emotions in a human body. We're either inside of an expansive experience of love, or we are inside of a contracted, compressed experience of fear. And all of our emotions fall on one side or another. One of the issues is that we oftentimes don't think about our body's role in creating emotion. And the truth is that the body actually creates the emotional pattern. You can think of it this way. Let's say your body is really stressed and you're in a state like this, but you want to feel peace. Is that possible? No, obviously it's not. And so we can begin to realize that if we wish to create a temple of our bodies that can actually house God's grace, then we must train a certain capacity inside of our own temple. And the best way to do that is with regards to meditative and contemplative practice. And so I've come up with a way to use meditation to actually train emotional capacity. The reason that I believe that this is so very, very important is that we know that we are one in the body of Christ. And the question becomes, what will my contribution to that body of Christ be? And that is determined simply by whatever presence I'm housing within that temple. What we do as human beings, though, is because we genuinely want to be a vessel of God's grace, we resist those fear-based emotions. So we have a fear-based emotion, let's say that that's anger. And then we don't want to be angry. We don't want to feel that, so we resist it, right? In that moment, this resistance has added more fear to what is already there. So the key in reducing those fear-based emotions is in accepting them. Otherwise, when we resist, those emotions get stuck in our bodies and they cannot move, and we carry them around. So I have a practice that I've come up with that I use every day in working with people. And it's called the ABC practice. I created it because I thought people needed something that was really easy to remember when they were triggered. Because as you, I'm sure, can relate to, in moments when you are triggered, it is hard to remember what in the world you are supposed to do to manage that, right? And so ABC is relatively easy to remember. A stands for accept, B is breathe, and C is choose. So let's break those down. A is probably the most important part, and that is accept. That means that we find the emotion in our body, we feel it, and we're friendly to it. So as I said before, emotion is housed in your body. And you'll find on our website a graph from a study that was done that shows where people generally house certain emotions in their bodies. And so the first thing when we realize that we're in a lower fear-based state is to find, what is my body doing? Where do I feel that compression, that constriction, that rigidity in my body that is that fear-based state? We go there. We allow ourselves to connect to that and feel it fully. We drop any resistance that could be there, and we do that by being friendly to whatever's there, by welcoming it. When we welcome whatever we're authentically feeling in our body, it's like we open the doors to our body, and that emotional state can begin to roll through us. Otherwise, when we resist, we actually lock it into our body and it cannot move, and we carry it around. That resistance is what we commonly refer to as stress. So if we want to drop stress, first of all, we have to welcome what is there. That is the A part of this practice. B is breathe. Then we're going to do a breath to move whatever is left. What you'll find is that when you drop that resistance, let's say the emotion is somewhere around here, you drop that resistance and welcome what is there. The level of intensity of that emotional state precipitously drops. Then you may have a little bit of that left. At that point in time, we can use the breath to help awaken that part of the body and allow that to flow through us. The breath that we want to use here is a very gentle breath, in and out through your nose. And the key to this breath is a longer exhale than inhale. There's a scientific reason behind doing the breath in this way. And that is that when you do a long, gentle exhale, what happens is that you activate something called the vagus nerve. This is the longest nerve in your body. It is how your body sends messages up to your brain. And if you've been in a difficult or stressful situation, chances are when it's over, you've heard yourself go, right? That's the sound that your vagus nerve makes when it sends the signal to your brain that it can let go of fear, step out of fight, flight, and freeze, and allow you instead to get to the smart part of your brain, which is also the peaceful part of your brain. And so the B part is we breathe that breath with a longer exhale. And then the C is choose. So now we're not just going to think about choosing a new state, and today we'll use peace. We're actually going to work to embody that state within us. And so we'll continue that breath using those holy words, I am, followed by peace. And then we'll think about, how do I create an experience of peace in the body? So I'm sure we've all come out of a stressful day with our shoulders up around our ears, right? So we'll drop those shoulder earrings and we'll imagine our shoulders just melting down around the heart. We'll allow that energy, that presence to flow down in our hands. Let our fingers open, our palms open. We'll move into our heart and pull our shoulders back just a little bit so that we're opening the heart. We'll make sure that our spine is aligned and that we are aligned with that presence. And in that moment, what you'll find is that you do, after you've felt whatever is there, have the capacity to begin to choose what you'll deliver in the world. And that if you practice allowing yourself to feel what is there and cultivating within your temple, that is your body, a state of peace, that over time you develop a greater and greater capacity for your temple to house peace in this world, which is ever so very important in our society today. So very important inside of our spiritual practice. And so this practice is intended to be used throughout the day. You can do it as part of your morning or evening prayer practice. It's great to do it before you begin, so you really put yourself inside of alignment with God. But it's also wonderful to do as you move through your day and practice when you know you're not in a good state, when you're sitting with that person and they're angry and they're frustrated and you feel yourself start to go there. You can train yourself to use this ABC practice so that you can consistently move yourself back into a space of grace.